Hi everyone, and I want to talk to you today about ways to improve your cash flow. And the primary way you can do that is to shorten what I like to call the payable receivable cycle. And that is the time at which you pay for things, for your raw materials, labor, etc., and when you actually receive revenue from a sale. So you want to shorten that cycle as much as possible. And the first way you can do that is by use of credit cards, in two different ways. The first way is when you're paying your bills, pay with a credit card. So, get a corporate card, pay that. That gives you another, depending on your billing cycle, that gives you an additional 30 to 45 days before you have to actually lay the cash out to pay for that raw material. The other way you want to do that is to accept credit cards. And a lot of people say they don't want to pay the 2 or 3% fee when they accept credit cards. However, I'll tell you, in my experience, it is by far worth it. It reduces the time you have to collect things. You don't have to chase bills around. You don't have to do things like that. It absolutely speeds up the amount of time it takes for you to get money from people. People are more apt to pay for things with a credit card, and much more quickly they'll pay you. In a study that was done recently by MasterCard, people will pay up to 18% more when they use their credit card versus cash. What that means is, translates to you as a business owner, is that they'll pay for things quicker as well. The other thing I wanted to mention is, this is something that's not as obvious, and I see people miss this all the time, and that is to only pay bills when they're due. So for example, if you have an invoice that you need to pay that is due in 30 days, it does you no good whatsoever to pay that in 2 days, 3 days, 10 days even. Pay it on day 29. There's no harm, no foul. The only way I would say not to do that, and I'd recommend against that, is if they offer a discount. So if you get a discount for paying within 10 days or so, and you can take advantage of that 1 or 2% discount, and your cash flow will allow it, go ahead and pay that to take advantage of that discount. Otherwise, due in 30, pay in 29. The third thing I want to mention is to make sure you're very transparent about your payment terms and put them right on the invoice. So for example, if you offer a discount for early payment, and make sure you make that discount worth your while. So if you had a $1,000 invoice that's due in 30 days, you might say that if you pay with day 10 or less, that it's $900. You give them a $100 discount. Now maybe that's kind of high, that's 10%, but just using it as an example. Then at day 30, it's $1,000. On the flip side, you want to lay out what the penalties are. And so if you pay on day 31 and after, it's a penalty of X. So you want to make sure you lay that out so people see very clearly on their invoice what it's going to cost them if they're late. That will often they'll prompt people to pay you sooner because they don't want to incur that penalty. The other thing that'll do is that it will show people that you're serious and that you're monitoring this. And so when people get to the end of the month and they have difficulty paying their bills, they look for, who do I have to pay and who do I not have to pay? If you have a penalty on there, they're going to move you to the top of that pile. The other thing I'll say as far as penalties go, you make sure you use a percentage and not a flat fee. A flat fee can get you in trouble on either side. So it could be a small invoice, say $50. If you charge a flat $20 fee, that's a 40% penalty. That's kind of unfair on both sides. On the flip side, if it's a $5,000 invoice and you only charge $20, that's going to get you to the bottom of that pay pile, right? So they're going to say, well, it's only going to cost me $20 to not pay, so I'm not going to pay it. Being a cash flow specialist, I can talk about this for hours. Unfortunately, we just don't have the time today. But you can always get more tips and guidance at MrBizSolutions.com.